Hi everyone, today I'll be talking about increasing and decreasing functions. So y equals to fx is an increasing function for a given interval x is between a and b if as x increases, y increases in the interval. So let's look at what this means for us. So for example, we have this example y equals to x plus 2, and let's mark out 2 points a and b, and we notice that if we move from a to b, as the value of x increases, the value of y increases as well. Alright, so that means to say, actually, if we link this to the concept of gradient and slope, we notice that this is actually a positive slope, and therefore we also connect to the concept of dy dx, where we say that the dy dx is related to the gradient, and since it's positive gradient, we say that dy dx is greater than 0. So when we see this, we say that this function is an increasing function, and we start to see the relationship with the dy dx being positive. Next, let's look at y equals to e to the power of x. Again, if we were to mark out point A and B and say that, okay, we move along from A to B, and as x increases, y increases as well, and we also conclude that this means that anywhere along A to B, and in fact for the whole stretch of the graph, we say that dy over dx is positive. Alright, and then the third one is the same thing. We notice that as x increases, y also increases, and therefore we say that dy dx is greater than 0 because of the positive gradient. And again, anywhere along the graph shown there is also a positive gradient, so therefore dy dx is greater than 0. Right, so here we conclude that as long as we see this situation where dy dx is greater than 0, we actually get a case of increasing function for the given interval of x between a to b. Alright, next we look at decreasing functions. So y equals to fx is a decreasing function if as x increases, y decreases in the interval for the interval x is between a and b. Alright, so let's look at one example. Over here we have y equals to negative x plus 3. Alright, and I've marked out 2 points a and b, and we see that as we move from a to b, the value of x is increasing, however the value of y is decreasing. So we say that this is a downslope, and it means that the gradient is negative. So as we know that we link the concept of gradient and dy dx, so we say that dy over dx is less than 0 or negative, and so we say that this is a decreasing function. Right, next let's look at the example of y equals to negative e to the power of x. Same thing, I marked out point A, point B, and indeed anywhere along the curve as well. And as we move from point A to point B, we notice that as the value of x increases, the value of y decreases. So we say that it's a downslope, and then gradient is negative, and dy over dx is also less than 0, which is negative. Right? Last but not least, this one is a more interesting example, because for y equals to x squared plus 1, we know that for x less than 0, you can see this part of the graph. We use a yellow color highlighter. We see that the graph looks like this, and for x greater than 0, right, the graph looks like this. Right, so here I did some extra notes. And you see that the left side of the graph is a decreasing function, and the right side of the graph is an increasing function. So if we take point A and B as shown, we notice that as x increases, y decreases. So for the yellow part of the graph, it is actually a decreasing function. And again, same thing as we have seen before, dy dx is less than 0. Alright, however, from the start till now, I've been talking about given interval. So that means to say we can actually choose a certain interval, and that certain interval may mean the fx is increasing or decreasing, and it could be different. So for example, if let's say I choose x is less than 0, then this function y equals to x squared plus 1 is this part of the graph, and it is a decreasing function. However, if I choose y is more than 0, then I have this part of the graph which is actually an upslope, which means it is a increasing function. So for this part, it is actually dy over dx more than 0, so it is an increasing function. So this gives meaning to this line about for a given interval x between a and b. Alright, so we can actually limit the range of x, and then that gives a certain impact on whether the function is increasing or decreasing. So in conclusion, right, we conclude that when dy over dx is greater than 0, we say also that the gradient is positive. Then for the range of value of x between a to b, y is an increasing function. And then when dy over dx is less than 0, the gradient is negative in that range, then we say that y is a decreasing function. Thank you for watching this video. Bye bye.